Hi everyone, I'm just going to make sure that you can see me well. I think that's okay. Sorry about the bright window there. I'm just feeding my infant, so do excuse me if you hear him. He's absolutely fine, but he's just having some milk. So welcome to this evening's masterclass. So in today's session, I will be going over creative writing. So I'm just going to make sure that I can share my screen with you all and that you can see it, because sometimes it doesn't very well. So I think you can see that now. So I'm going to show you how you can use this reverse engineer 4E's method for GCSE and IGCSE for creative writing. Okay. This is for you to make sure you're in the right place. If your child is struggling with their GCSE or IGCSE creative writing tasks, you and your child are confused about how to uplevel creative writing, and your child lack inspiration for ideas, and your child is despising creative writing. Or maybe it could be that you're doing well, but you're not seeing the improvements that you want as well. So maybe you're stuck on a certain grade. So this is for you if that's the case. So I think it's also important to just share a bit about who I am. Most of you do know who I am, but I think it's always good to have a little bit of introduction. So I'm a graduate from the University of Nottingham in English Studies. I come from a working class background. I was the first in my family to attend university. So I really understand the importance of education, especially English. And I can honestly say that mastering English has changed my life. So for the past decade, I have been an educator, which has entailed lecturing, teaching, and tutoring. I have had the privilege and blessing of teaching in China, Japan, Finland, India, Pakistan, Canada, and the UK. I've also been part of BBC language program to teach English as a second language. And I share this with you not to impress you, but to press upon you the opportunities that may open up for you once you too master English. So you might be thinking, well, actually, I'm not bothered about English, or, I don't want to study English. And that's all fair enough. But actually, you need English in order, you need GCSE English in order to do the A levels that you want. It's a core requirement. It's also really important for apprenticeships. My youngest brother actually has been accepted onto a degree apprenticeship for engineering, and English was very important. It's really important that you're able to communicate your ideas for CV writing. When you're applying for work now, a lot of them seem to be essays, personal statements, and verbal communication as well. And that's the importance of creative writing, because many students and parents often say, well, why do I need creative writing? I don't want to be an author. Why is this important? But actually, and as you're going to see, it's not about so much as story writing or descriptive writing, but it's more about, are you able to adapt your writing style for a specific audience? And that is essential, because you do that on a day-to-day basis with emails, presentations, and things like that. So what is the reverse engineer method? What are the 4E's method? So one is exam style questions. So to improve creative writing, quite often many students ask, well, where do I start? So logically, you might think that in order for your child to improve, that they must up-level their imagination, and therefore encourage them to read books that are quite fanciful. And now the problem with this is that, I'll go over the problems actually in just a moment. Oh, actually, no. So the problems with that is that just because you're reading lots doesn't mean that you're taking it in. It doesn't mean that you're able to use that information correctly in exam conditions. You might think that to improve, you must learn literary techniques, leading to you to invest in encouraging them to memorize motifs, similes, metaphors, and other devices. And again, it's true, you do need to know them, but if you don't know how to use them, then you're going to struggle. And quite often, you might read your child's work, or the teachers might have read your child's work and said, the simile is not fitting, or this metaphor doesn't really fit here. And it's frustrating for your child, because they feel like, well, I've done what's been asked of me. But if they don't know how to use it, then they don't use it effectively. A good analogy is to think of it like this. If you were going to fix a car and you were trying to fix it with a hammer, but you required a spanner, it's not going to work, right? You might feel that to improve your child must master structure, punctuation, grammar, and you thus enroll them on study programs to help improve these skills. Now, again, all of those are important, but if they, don't know how to use that effectively, then their writing becomes quite mundane, it's dull, and it's quite repetitive. And you might see that with your child's work. So as I say, logically, you're right. It is true that it's vital to improve your child's creativity, use of literary techniques and understanding. But if they are not, they are not the place to start. And the reason that is because improving these areas will not ensure that your child is able to score high in creative writing. This is because what they've written is not appropriate or relevant to the task, and that's why I was saying that if they don't know how to use those tools, it's a waste of time. Okay, so where do you start then? So, and again, this might sound familiar to you. So think about, has your child ever received foreign feedback? Use more appropriate vocabulary, use more relevant figurative language. You started well, but then you seem to lose focus. Your opening is quite weak and predictable. Those are just some examples. and feel like that this is inevitable when your child focuses on mastering the techniques first. It's important to reverse engineer creative writing. How? By looking at exam papers. So you look at, and I don't mean just going through exam papers. The other mistake that lots of students make is that they sit there and they do exam paper after exam paper after exam paper. And the problem with that is they just make the same mistakes. So it's really important that you look at exam questions and their mark schemes. And this is because then you know what your reader, the examiner, is looking for. And that's really important to think about creative writing from this lens. You need to think about what you like to see, if you like watching films or TV shows, or you like to read yourself, or listen to if you like listening to music. So once you and your child know what the examiner is looking for, you can break their tasks down. So, for example, you might have to write a story based on a picture. So look at some pictures. What can they be broken down into? No, this is your child's personal response. This is what the examiner wants, your child's unique interpretation. And if you go and look at the examiner's mark schemes, if you look at what's required, a grade 9 skill is being able to really learn and master the personal response and interpretation. And this is what distinguishes students who achieve a grade 9 or 7 above and those who don't. Because in classes, in the classroom, all around the UK and even abroad where GCSE is taught and IGCSE, teachers will be teaching the basics. They'll be teaching them, how to write an opening, the middle, the climax and things like that. But it's your child's ability to take that and really make it their own, okay? And you can break them down into genres, so horror, adventure, romance, name but a few. And by doing that, actually, it helps you to know kind of what techniques and ideas to bring into it. Then you can start to look at imagery and language and structural devices. And by doing this, it'll make sure that it's appropriate, because remember, each genre has their own style. They have their own way of writing. Think about this. You might have read a book or seen a film and it's been horror, but you've detested it. And it's because actually they've not adhered to that style. So you might find it predictable, boring. And you need to think then, okay, what are your favorite horrors, for example? It might be because there's suspense, a plot twist, something like that. And that's really important, okay? J.K. Rowling's top tips for creative writing: plan your writing and write what you know. So get familiar with the exam style tasks and your audience by reverse engineering. Look at exam papers, also look at websites to see their values and recommended book lists for ideas. So the reason why I say that is because if your child is going from year 11 to, from year 10 to year 11, then they might start to think about sixth forms, they might start to think about colleges. And it's really important to look at what they are looking for, especially if you have to go to an interview or something like that. Okay, and then expand your child's vocabulary. So if your child levels of vocabulary, they will be able to create world settings and characters that are truly remarkable and realistic. It will also help your child to express their ideas clearly and convincingly. So think about it. Have you ever had the experience where you're trying to explain something to someone, but you can't find the right word? And it makes you feel frustrated. And so that's really important. And the brilliant thing about conversation, if that happens, is you can ask for feedback, so you can explain what you mean. But in the exam, you can't do that. You can't do that with writing, which is why it's even more important to uplevel your vocabulary. And there are many ways in which you can improve your child's vocabulary: reading, word games, using word of the day apps. And these are all great, but the problem with this is that your child might not feel comfortable using these newly acquired words. And part of this is because they might feel it's inauthentic to them. They might not feel comfortable. They might feel like they might make a mistake. And therefore, I like to use this method for acquiring vocabulary. Step 1, encourage your child to go over their work. Look at any words that they use a lot or words that they can up level. So, for example, your child might use words such as to describe the sky. They might use the word blue constantly. And so you might think, well, okay, actually, we can be more specific in this. Can you think about a more specific word? Is it azure? Okay. Maybe you can think about any words that are quite simple that they use. So, for example, walk. You might use the word they walked or walk. Okay, well, you might think then of synonyms that are more appropriate and more precise to explain the movement. Step 2, ask the child to look up their words in a thesaurus, pick up 5 synonyms for each of the words, and look at how they would use the synonyms in sentences. This will give your child the confidence to use them and also allow them to think about clearly what they're trying to convey. And decide what words resonate with them. This is because your child is then more likely to use them and remember them. So there's no point trying to get them to use a big long word for the sake of it. It's more important that they're able to use words appropriately and effectively. So that's the first step. So that's the second step, is the up-level your vocabulary. And then, let me go up here. And then expressive writing. I don't like calling it creative writing. And the reason for this is because it's not really creative writing, to be honest with you. It's not so much about your child's ideas and imagination, but more about how they express their ideas and imagination. Hence, you and your child might have seen mundane tasks like describe this image of an old man. and you and your child may have read example answers that have blown your mind, so you're hooked. And it's because the writers express their ideas with intent and using their own flair. Think about like this. The examiners are not looking for your child to write the next Harry Potter in 45 minutes, okay? So it's your opportunity for your child to use all of the techniques that they've analysed in section 1 of their papers, the reading sections, and showcase their knowledge of their writing and why they've been used. So to nurture your child's ability to express themselves, play a game with it, for instance, choose an image from the internet or a story that interests them, and decide on the genre of the piece. Next, your child writes on the effect they want on their reader at different parts. Then ask your child to plan their story description and then write. After they've written their story description, ask a friend or relative to read it and note what they are thinking or feeling at different parts. Ask them to guess the genre of the writing. Now, if they've guessed it correctly, you can then look at the note of what your child was intending to do, so the genre and the impact that they were trying to have. And if that person has guessed correctly, then your child has used their writing to have that impact on their reader. But if they guess something completely different, then it means that your child needs to work on that, and you can actually then get feedback, which is essential. And step 4, exam technique. Arguably one of the biggest challenges with creative writing at 11 plus and GCSE. We do teach GCSE plus, but we're focused on GCSE, so I'm going to change that because this is for GCSE and IGCSE, of course. So we're going to be focusing on that. Is doing it in time conditions. So rather than seeing this as a hindrance, turn it into a helping hand. J.K. Rowling, for example, advises that you be strict with writing time so that you discipline yourself to write well in the allotted time. This is a great skill to harness as an academic professional settings. It's important to be able to manage your time and work towards deadlines. I know that many students and parents feel that, well, since it's creative writing, and I use inverted commas because, as I've just shown you, it should be thought of as expressive writing, then you should have as much time as you'd like. But actually, being able to manage your time and write in a time condition is a really powerful skill to learn. So practice doing creative writing tasks in time conditions and be strict with it. So start off small. For example, set yourself 5 minutes to write down everything about the experience of something tangible, so that if you're stuck, you can actually go and do it. For example, a tangible task could be eating chocolate. So this is a fun way to do it as well. So in this case, if you're finding it hard to write about the experience of eating chocolate, go and have a little piece. Pay attention to the texture in your hands, what you're thinking, feeling, and where in your body before you eat it. How does it feel in your mouth? What memories does it conjure up? Then expand from there. Imagine what it's like to never eat chocolate. What would that be like? Next, imagine what it would be like to eat chocolate for the first time. For each step, give yourself a time limit and a clear goal. Make the goal specific and meaningful to you. And if you find that your mind goes blank in an exam, your goal could be to write non-stop about the chocolate for 5 minutes. This will prove to yourself that you can write so that you will feel more confident in the exam. Okay, so what I mean by that, this is obviously for exam preparation, so you want to do that in time conditions. So for example, if your mind does go blank in that 5 minutes when you set yourself a task, just keep writing non-stop for 5 minutes, because you'll be surprised by how much you can write, and actually that will help you so that in the exam your mind won't go blank, because quite often students, very able students, can be overwhelmed when they see the blank page and in that time conditions. Another goal could be to use a variety of sentence structures. Again, set yourself a time and then write what the goal with that goal in mind. By doing this, you'll become extremely effective in expressing yourself in time conditions. And as a result, you will no longer be a hostage to time, but free to create expressive stories. And more importantly as well, it will get your child to think about those techniques and think about actually the end goal, which is to impact their reader, to impact the examiner. So key takeaways then. So reverse engineer your creative writing so that you can confidently craft answers suitable for your exam. Consequently, your reader, the examiner, will be able to give you the grade you desire. So a grade 9 if that's what you're striving for. So reverse engineer the 4E method. 1, exam questions. Look at past papers and mark schemes to become familiar with what is expected of you. 2, expand vocabulary. Find up-level words that resonate with you so that you will use them. And remember to go through your own work, go through your child's work. You can do that together with them. Look at any words that they routinely use or any words that you think, actually, is there a better way of describing this? Think about it as expressive writing. Write down your genre and intended impact and see if your friend or relative can guess them correctly. And 4, exam technique. Practice doing creative writing tasks within a given time. This will give you the ability to think on your feet. Start off with tangible experiences. So what is it like to sunbathe? What's it like to have an argument? Where do you feel that? Where does it resonate? Think about whether it's in your head. What feelings come up? Is it anger? How does that anger feel? Where in your body? Is it in your hands? Is it your feet? Is it your stomach? And actually by doing that, you'll notice that your child is able to come up with quirky, imaginative ideas just by doing that, because we're all unique, we're all different, we all experience the world in slightly different ways. So let me know in the comments, what's your biggest takeaway from this? And if you've got any questions, pop them in the comment section as well. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this class. And do remember as well that over the summer, I will be running essay writing and creative writing tasks, creative writing programs. And I'll put a link in the description so that if anyone is interested, you can enroll if you liked what you've seen today.